Good morning. Welcome to the very first Creative Mornings Derby. It's such a pleasure to work with the guys from Mainframe and bring this to the city, and it's really good to see this many people turn out for something that's brand new to the city. There's a couple of ways you can get involved today. So there's a bunch of, the hashtag is around the table, so hashtag CM Derby if you want to join the conversation and share anything from today. At CM_Derby is our community Twitter account. At Mainframe Derby you should already follow because it's been going for ages. At Tim Elliott UK is just me, you can ignore that one. And at We Are FPF are the guys from Future Proof who are filming us today, and you can check in on Facebook and you can do all the usual stuff. It will be a great day. So, Creative Mornings is a global community, and these guys are saying hello from Helsinki, believe it or not.
Welcome to Creative Mornings!
No, it was DM'd to me on Instagram. They are in Helsinki. It would be a whole different time zone, I believe. I'm not up on my geography, but I'm pretty sure it's not 8:30 or whatever. Hold on. So, Creative Mornings, just to give you an introduction into what it is, there's 202 chapters in different cities around the world, in 65 different countries. We have over 20,000 people every month, with 6,800 talks online. So this guy, Paul Chapman, who will be your speaker today, his talk will be globally available. Global chappers. Oh my God. 8 million video views so far will be 8,000,004 by the time you're done, I imagine, which will be amazing. But we can't do this, like this whole Creative Mornings community, the whole global community is brought to us by global partners that you can see on the bottom. MailChimp, Adobe and WordPress sponsor this whole thing and let people like me do things like this. Got a short video from those guys. Not only do we have support globally from great people like that, we have the lovely Mainframe. So Charlene over there and Hannah, stand up, give us a wave. Oh, you are standing up. Just give us a wave. Like Mainframe, if it's your first involvement with Mainframe, have been an incredible community for what, nearly 2 years, right? Nearly 2 years now, and they do loads of events like this one, and without them, this wouldn't be able to happen. They're a massive part of it, so deserve another round of applause, I reckon. Yeah. Let's come on. And our other partners are these lovely guys, Rob, Drew and his team at the back from Future Proof Films, who are a local agency doing some amazing video work. They work for like clients nationally, Sainsbury's, all sorts of things, and they've agreed to be our partners and our videographer partners to make this little chapter look amazing globally, which will be amazing. So round of applause for Future Proof Films. Okay, so Creative Mornings is a monthly lecture series for the creative community, and everyone is creative and everyone is welcome to it. It's not just for marketers, it's here for everybody. And this, every month has a new theme. Today's theme is Preserve, right? And Preserve is chosen by the Charleston chapter in America and illustrated by a chap called Chris Nichols. So this is it. And now, Paul Chapman is going to talk to us about Preserve. Following that will be a quick Q&A. Please welcome, ladies and gentlemen, our very first speaker at the very first Creative Mornings Derby, Mr. Paul Chapman.
Thanks very much. Oh, this is like a Val Doonicum moment.
You can take it out.
What? Sitting down like he's going to get a guitar out. There will be the Westlife key change later on. Well, this is ace, isn't it? This is really something quite special, really. I spoke here at a PK talk a while ago, and I'm very lucky. I get invited to speak in lots of different places. I very rarely get invited back, so this is absolutely genuinely awesome. So thank you Tim, thank you Mainframe, thank you Creative Mornings, particularly thank you to the guys at Mainframe. I just think they do awesome stuff here. And a little side thank you to Hannah, whose slides I have mercilessly nicked the template from the last time. And then a little final thank you for Tim. Mate, this seems to be going automatically. Is that a thing I can stop? A little thank you for Tim, because the slides that I sent Tim, whenever I sent them, were all completely blank. So he managed to somehow rearrange them into kind of proper stuff for me. So we're in. Brilliant. So this is it. So I suppose let's a little bit about me. I'm a business owner. I own a couple of businesses, all sort of in and around the kind of the marketing space, sort of strategy stuff mainly. I am a celebrity stalker as well, and I'm a man that has a huge love of tweed, which is kind of a big part of my life these days. And this used to be kind of really important to me, and I suppose my business is still very important, but its importance has changed kind of as life has developed over the last kind of few years. And I've gone from this thing that is this kind of the all-consuming, I must do business, to think, well, okay, my business it's a stepping stone. It's simply a means to an end. And I don't know if I'm touching this, mate, but let's keep going. And it's simply kind of a means to an end. And actually, the thing that has become kind of most important to me, which sounds like a weird thing to say, is number two, which is my family. And I get this is kind of blindingly obvious, but if I'm brutally honest with you guys, for quite a long time, I would have always told you that actually the thing that is most important to me is my family, but kind of the actions I took, I was kind of spending my time on my business. I was a little bit ashamed to say it, I was that dad that... I was the dad that was sat there with kind of my boys on my lap trying to do a bit of work here, which is kind of a bit of a mad, kind of pointless thing to do, really. So I made some big kind of changes last year, and the reason I'm kind of telling you this is that kind of keys into what I really wanted to talk about today, because a lot of the talks I do, are kind of marketing focused. It's always been kind of that almost that lighter edge to it, but I've kind of picked something today that I think is genuinely important, and I think that we kind of need to look at. This is my family. They've got this is my wife. I've got William with me, and then Jack in the pushchair. And I love this picture because this makes us look like a sporting family. And this is the one we've got about, but we're not. I mean, clearly, we're not. Although we did do this run, this little 2-mile run in our village. I say we did it. 3 of us did it. Jack sat in the pushchair and ate some flapjack, and I pushed him along. But we got to the finish line, and we all got medals. Did Jack deserve his medal? I don't know. It's a different one. In fairness, it was a big bit of flapjack, and I had overcooked it, so it was going to take some chewing. But that's kind of the thing that drives me, and the thing that's actually chose me to kind of pick the topic today, space. And obviously it's a weird thing, because obviously we know what we're talking about, but it's where do you start? This is, normally when I do stuff, there's a thing. People want to learn a thing from me, they want kind of a direction from it. And this is kind of a difficult one for me, because what you get is a blank canvas. And for someone that loves the sound of his own voice as much as I do, a blank canvas is awesome, because I can literally talk about anything. And the brilliant thing about a blank canvas is that you can talk about everything. The bad thing about a blank canvas is that you can kind of talk about everything. And actually, this is kind of probably up there with the hardest things. Think, okay, what am I going to talk about? What are the actual things that I'm going to do? So I think we're still on automatic, so I shall go with it. But so I thought about, look, so I've got preserve. Where can I go with this? Where can I go in like a proper kind of creative way with this? And obviously, kind of the right place to start is with jams and jellies. And I love this. I love this for very, very many reasons. Because Tim, can you have a little sort for me? Yeah. I love this because what you had on that slide is a book on Amazon available today, which is 175 jams and jellies, which I love, because one, there's a book, and two, that means if they're the best jams and jellies, that means some other jams and jellies very much missed the cut. And it did kind of get me kind of going into that sort of thing. So I did think about that, and I thought, well, actually, the last thing you guys need is 20 minutes of me just talking about jams and jellies. So I thought, well, okay, what about go kind of proper left field? And we go pre-serve. So we look at the idiosyncrasies of tennis players before they hit the ball. And I like this, although I think, probably it turns into 20 minutes of interpretive dance by me, and the words going viral kind of terrify me a little bit. And I thought, there's some guy in Australia just going, what the hell is this? So we've ignored all of that. So what I've gone with is preserve. It's perhaps a little bit obvious, but this is about something that I really want to keep. And it's something that's right there in sort of the top 4 of those things there. This is something that I think has sort of disappeared a bit from our lives. And, so I'm very keen on something that it is something that I want to kind of hold on to. I might be too late on this, mate. This is something that I might be too late on. It's something that, as I have sort of gotten older, I've kind of noticed. And I'm not sure if I've missed the boat, but I have some hope. I have some hope that actually we do have time to be able to fix this.
Next one.
Let's go for it. So, a big part of this is because I've got older. And as you can see, I was started as a beautiful child through some I think we call them difficult times. And I've ended up kind of here on the right as a dad of 2 boys. And I'll be truthful with you guys, I am genuinely terrified for my kids' future. And again, some folks with kids here in the room sort of kind of get this. It's kind of beyond my comprehension what's happened kind of in here and what's kind of gone on. And I look at I don't know what we're getting ourselves into. I don't quite know what I'm kind of delivering to my kids. And worst of all, I don't know what I can do about it. And I think that is the thing that's kind of led me to do this thing. And I could have done, thanks mate, I could have done lots of things because I have noticed I am getting significantly angrier. My tolerance level for pretty much everything is dropped right down, and it is something that I notice a lot. And like the smallest thing can send me into kind of like a Daily Mail-esque rage about it. And it is, and I get that this is kind of a weird thing, but this is something. So the thing I want to say is partly driven by the fact that I've got kids, but partly by the fact that I am just getting older and I'm just getting a lot angrier. But there is a real big problem with this which is disappointing when you actually realise that I'm now live around the world. I simply have no idea what I want to preserve, which is really difficult for a talk like this. Because I know what I want to achieve, but I don't know the thing that I want to save. So what I thought there was no better time to kind of work this through than when you've got an audience and you're being broadcasted around the world. This is, if this is ever a time to be a bumbling, ill-thought-through idiot, when you've got 8 million people looking at you, it's almost certainly the time to go. So the good news is I do know what I want to achieve, and if I just skip on. So what I've done, I've Googled just some headlines from the week. And these are all kind of come from the last week and a half. And again, I don't need to read them out, it'll just make me cross and then I'll just kind of raid. But you've got that one. You've got this one, which again, I simply don't understand this. I don't understand as a society that where we've got to, where this becomes like a thing, where this kind of stuff happens. And again, just for kind of levity, which is a horrible thing to say, but just so we're not kind of dwelling on those horrendous things, I thought I'd end on this one. And again, I'm sure a lot of you saw this. As a lady put a picture of herself online, and some mindless dickhead. How are we with the swearing?
It's okay. It's out there now. Let's carry on.
Oops. Sorry, Mum. Some mindless idiot has gone on and just, like, out of nowhere, just said this dress isn't right for you, which I just simply don't get. And the reality is, the reason why this is something I want to preserve is the fact that, 10 years ago, no one would have done this. It just wouldn't have happened. And again, I think there's a cultural thing. I think it'd be really easy to kind of blame social media for this. Social media is the new bankers. It's a thing that we blame for everything. But I don't think that's it. Yes, admittedly, you'd have had to have, if you wanted to, complain about someone's dress, you'd have had to see it. You then have to find that person's address. You'd have to write them a letter, put it in an envelope. And again, there's a lot involved there that is going to stop it happening. But I think bigger than that, it's a culture thing. I think something has happened over the last few years that has not made this okay, but hasn't made it, is not kind of absolutely damned by society, if that makes sense. And that's the thing that I want to make that change. Because this is, I was badly bullied as a kid and I hated it, and it was a big part of kind of what happened, what I was like, my sort of shaped my life. I don't want my kids to go through that. And I get this is, this is a tiny little speck in the hurricane, but I think there is a big part of this. And I think actually, if we work this through, there are things that we can do at the end of this that actually will, it'll make the world a better place. It comes in my kind of, my Mr. Universe stands here, but there will be things that we can do. So I thought, what I'd like to kind of reverse this. I would like to try and find a way just to do it. And I think, what I've got today is some thoughts on it, and I would love to have the perfect scenario here. I would love to have like the end point here. I don't think we have it, but what I've got is some ideas that I think might help, and I think that has led me to work towards a place. Well, okay, there is a thing that we can do now. So we've got ahead into the first one. So it struck me, look, is this thing kind of simply decency? Is it now kind of common decency? Is that what we're missing? And I don't know. I think it's a part of it. But again, a big problem with decency is that it is so reliant on factors about it. It is so linked to society and society's thought. I mean, you look at something like this. This is less than 100 years. Like less than 100 years between these kind of styles of swimsuits. And that's a real kind of issue with decency. The fact that it has, if you'd worn the one on the right 100 years ago, and hopefully if you wore it now, but if you wore the one on the right 100 years ago, you'd be kind of laughed at anywhere. You'd be in jail. The whole thing would have been simply too much for society to take. Now whilst we perhaps bat an eyelid and kind of take the mickey, he's not being kind of shoved off stage. He's not being kind of put somewhere else. You think this is a problem? You say, well, okay, if we just need to be more decent, decency is based on and linked to our societal norms at the time, and thus trying to say, well, okay, you've got to be more decent. It doesn't make it a thing. It's not a thing that we can kind of hold on to because it's too intrinsic. It's too governed by the stuff around us. So whilst I think it's a part of it, I don't think it's the answer here. So that kind of like, well, okay, what about, is it values? Do we all just need to have kind of better values? And I think, again, I think yes. It is a part of it. I think it is a part of it, but I don't think it's the part of it. I mean, I think the problem with values is that it's all about looking in the mirror. So you need to be able to look in the mirror to kind of even start to have values, but where does that lead you? How do you say, well, I've now got values? I mean, I'd be really interested in a show of hands. I don't know if it's a thing we should do, but who here has got values? Who here would happily tell us what one of those values is? Everyone's like that. Values? No, I've got a van, and that's not like a detriment. And there one guy back who you should definitely kind of hear from. But this is not like, oh God, what we're doing here. But if you think about it, it's a hard thing to have. We might be able to say what we do value, like we value our freedom or whatever. But it's not that holding on to something. It is what's it feel? What are the intrinsic things that drive us? And I think if you're all brutally honest with yourself, and maybe it's me, maybe I'm just like a stone-cold, valueless dinosaur who gets cross in tweed, but my gut reaction is that you guys probably, even though you said, oh, I've got values, and that's all right, well, if you actually try to articulate them and talk about how your values are part of it, I bet that's really hard. I bet that's a kind of a difficult thing. And it's not the answer to kind of this. It's not going to stop people kind of doing that immediacy of kind of, being nasty to people online, because it takes too much thought. If we're going to make a change, it's got to, with everything, it's got to be baby steps. It's got to be baby steps. And we have to give them kind of something to, the first step. I need to be able to put down that first step and say, step here first, and then go on. Because if we can't do that, it's not going to go. And again, that's the problem with the values. I think they're too personal. I think they are too transient. I think it's too big a first step. We can't say to that Muppet who's written about that lady's dress, have some values, because it's alien. That's a concept that he doesn't feel, he doesn't have, and it's too big a thing for him. And I think that's why values. I think further down the road, I think that's part of it, but I don't think it's where we are now. I think it's too hard a first step, and that kind of made me think. Well, okay, is it beliefs? Is this kind of do we all need to have some beliefs? And of all the things I've kind of got for you today, I think the answer probably here is no. I don't know, and I've got to be careful with this because I don't want to kind of offend anyone. I think beliefs are dangerous. If you look at some of the most dangerous people in history, they were people who acted out of strong beliefs. And that's just going to be reality. You look what's happening in the world today. There are people killing each other literally because they believe a different thing. So something so internal as, I think this is this, and this guy goes, well, I think it's this. So in that belief, I think, is too internal thing. And there are people going out and trying to kill people and achieving it because they think of something else. And I think, this is... Has people watched the film Dogma? Oh, do you know what? Go and watch Dogma. It's just brilliant. It's a really, really interesting film. And it is, as you can sort of see, the guy on the right is Rufus, who is the 13th apostle, who lands naked on a highway, obviously. And kind of, and I get this is a film, but I kind of saw this and thought, actually, this is something I can get on board with. And he's going, I'll read it just in case you don't see it, but he's going to say, it's better to have ideas because you can change an idea. Changing a belief is trickier. Life should be malleable, progressive, working from idea to idea. Beliefs anchor you to a certain point and limit growth. New ideas can't generate, they become stagnant. And I kind of get that, and this is not, just to be really clear, this is not me kind of being down on those with belief. Anyone that has a serious belief, there's a huge part of me that is kind of in awe of that, really, and they've got that kind of that power to hold on to something. But I think in what we're talking about today, it just becomes too big. It becomes too dangerous almost, because I say some of those dangerous people that you can think of are people that had strongly held beliefs, and I think probably this is people with beliefs are doing some of these things. Now all of these aren't beliefs as in kind of let's just call it the bigger religious terms. These are different beliefs that they have the right to do this stuff. But I think with that comes real danger, and I think I'm sure it plays a part down the line, but it's not there. I don't think it's belief. This is an interesting one. Is it? Again, can we just sweep this under the carpet as simply just don't be a dickhead? Is that? Oh,
It's fine.
Sorry.
Fine.
So close. Is it just don't be an idiot? Is that the kind of thing? Well, again, dickheadery is kind of in the eye of the beholder. If you look at kind of the things that are happening in our world at the moment, I'm not careful here. We have a group of people here fervently love Donald Trump, and we have a group of people that fervently hate. Now, in my humble opinion, I think he is higher on the dickheadery scale than, say, other people. I also love this. I love the fact that he comes to England and the worst thing we can say about him is his tea would be weak. Yeah. That's the kind of stuff that we tell him. And that's the problem with, one man's idiot is another man's hero. And again, that's, in the grand kind of scheme of things, and I'm, kind of more than ever before, I'm quite serious. As I've gone through this process, and I'm so grateful I've been given the opportunity, as I've gone through this process, this has become more and more important. And that's why kind of this idiocy, this dickheadery thing is in, because it's too relative. We can't just say, oh, that guy's an idiot. The guy that wrote that is an idiot. Because he has a link to other people, and those other people will think he's brilliant. They think it's funny. I'm sure somewhere there are a bunch of idiots laughing about his comment online to that girl, which again is kind of mad, really. And I think this is kind of where you get to it, and this is why I don't think that the idiotness is something that we can kind of stop people doing, because it is, again, it's too linked to the society around it. So that kind of got me thinking, well, look, is it empathy? Do we need to be more empathetic with people? And again, it's a part of it. And again, there's a guy called Amir Bazrashan that's talking. Do you know what? If you get a chance to hear him, I don't know when he's talking. I think he's going to do one of these later on in the year. Yeah. Literally the smartest man that you'll ever meet. Like 1 billion times smarter than me. And he's got he's talking about a concept called Sonda, which is not something I understand, which kind of ties into this, but certainly worth kind of coming into that. But kind of, the problem with empathy is sort of that. It's the ability to understand and share the feelings of others. At one level, that's really good. That's kind of right on the piece here. But on the other hand, you can't do that, because to do that, you've first got to get into the feelings of others. Now, probably, and again, this is me getting old, a few years ago, that was kind of okay, but society has changed. Dare I say it, skins are thicker, so actually what you think might offend someone just doesn't. And that, again, is a problem with this kind of thing, is that, to be really empathetic, you've got to know what they're going through, and you can't second guess that. And also, I think it is too big a first step, because that takes some effort and some thought, and they've got to then go down the line with it. And I think that becomes a really kind of difficult thing. And I think and all of these things I think kind of play their part. And I think all of it, and we could go on. We could talk about kind of perspective. We could talk about kind of, is it having feelings, which is kind of weird, which is a bit too ethereal. But they've all got the problem. But there's one big problem with all of these, is that I think they are like kind of trying to clutch onto air. Which is, and just as a little kind of side, I had to put this in, because I wanted to try and find a picture for clutching at air. I've done a quick Google search, and this is a real thing. There's a guy that is selling fresh air. And do you know what he's like? This is a guy making lots and lots of money. If you ever need cheering up, go and search this online and just watch the video of him doing it. And it's just mind-blowing. But what I love about this, and again, it's off topic, they're catching air with nets. Anyone else see that? Yeah. Anyway, and that's the problem with all these things, with the beliefs and everything else here, is that it is like catching air with a net. You know it's there, you think it's a good thing, you want to get it in the jar, but actually you just can't touch it. And again, if we are going to make a societal change here, we've got to give people a proper thing, a proper action, something that they can physically do. And I think, it's got to be something that they do, not just feel. We've got to try and find a way to put that first paving stone down and right, step on here. So I thought, and I've chatted to a lot of people about this, and this is where I end up. This is what I think we need to do. I think we need to be able to hit the pause button. I think actually a lot of this stuff goes away, will happen less over time if we simply take the time to stop before action. Which is, I always feel like it's sort of like a flippant sort of thing to do, but I'm looking at all these things. I go back to kind of those headlines at the start and think, I simply don't know how you would have written this if you took even the shortest of moments to think about it. And I've experienced this. Some friends had a terrible, terrible, terrible tragedy, and it made the news, and then people on Facebook just being, it's not evil, it's kind of inconceivable, and I don't get it. And I think that end of the spectrum is kind of like, wow, that's but I think it comes all the way down. I think it comes down to kind of day-to-day conversations. And think about if you get a bad email from a client or something like that, immediately, and you're kind of back on there. And I think actually that ability to just stop and pause makes an enormous difference. I am, again, part of my kind of age and my kind of fusty body odor smell that I'm creating, for when I'm really old, is that I noticed I was really judgmental. I was a guy that would look at people and I don't do it anymore. Or I'm trying hard and I'm getting better at it, and I take some time to stop. There's a big burglar around us, and I just kind of thought, I wonder what made them do that. And again, I don't know if this is just me being kind of old and weird and kind of getting in there, but I think my life has markedly changed by taking that step back, just waiting a second. Before I write the email, read it again, go away, it makes a massive difference. And I think this is something that I think genuinely, this can help. And I think, I could have gone on and on in here. And I started off thinking, well, can I write a letter to the boys and kind of say, look, I'm your dad. This is your plan for life. And it just got too big and too messy and that. But I think these kind of things are things that we can kind of have in our locker to ask ourselves. I think particularly number one, is what I'm seeing real? There's so much fake stuff. And all the way, you look at what Donald Trump says, all the way down to kind of what people are doing on social, where it looks like they're doing this incredible life, or actually they're not, they're blah, 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 blah. I think, is what I'm seeing real. Number two, is what I'm saying worth the impact? Again, I don't believe the people that write these things are kind of just complete evil idiots. I just don't think they are. I think they're perhaps unthinking. I think that's why the pause is so important. I think they're unthinking. And I think if they stopped and thought, well, actually, is me going online to mock this girl with Down syndrome dancing, is it worth that impact? And I don't know, maybe I'm wrong here, but, and that kind of led me on to the next one, is it going to give me anything? And I don't like that, but I think as part of that, if we are going to make a real change, we've got to realise that these people are flawed, as we all are, and they want something out of it. And that kind of thing, actually, is this going to achieve anything there? Does it matter? Will it make me and those around me happy? And then the big one is kind of why. For all of these things, kind of why am I doing it? Why am I doing it? And I think the beauty about this is if we can make this happen, if this can be a thing that we can do, I think it works both ways. Because actually, if I'm the person reading that stuff, my immediate reaction is, whereas actually, I think, what an idiot. And actually, it kind of goes, because, there are lots of things that you could level at me. I mean, we should do like a whole talk on my many failings. And a lot of those things I kind of have to go, yeah, do you know what? That is me. I am grumpy, blah, 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 blah. But, there are some things, let's just, I don't know. Yeah, Paul, you don't love your kids. And again, if someone's called us online and kind of creating that message at me, I would be so angry. But then you think, well, actually, it's such a pointless thing. It's such a not true thing that actually it doesn't need any time. But you can only get to that thought if you take some time to think, if someone says, look, Paul, you talk too much. Well, look, fine. Do you know what? Yes, I probably do. Which is great because I've got a microphone. But the other stuff there, and I think that's why the pausing stuff, it works both ways. And I genuinely think, and again, this is way above my pay grade, I'm not smart enough for this, but I think it makes everything better. That ability to not just react. And again, part of it is the tech around us because it's so easy to react. It's so easy to do anything. It's so easy to buy stuff. I love the internet because it's fraught with people that got drunk and bought a speedboat on eBay. That's even kind of in that kind of world, that little time. I don't know if it's going to help with you, just going to drink more. But I genuinely think everything is better is pause, and I think it will help you in kind of every walk of life. And I think this is something that, as I've gone through this process, and I found it incredibly difficult to kind of do something that is coherent enough to kind of share with you guys. But as I've gone through, I genuinely think this is a thing. It's a thing because we can lay it down. That can be that first step. I'm not asking anybody to feel anything, any kind of get out of their kind of comfort zone of this, just to have, with everything that you do, just take that moment to think, is this worth the impact? Can I be bothered with it? And I think, get it right, it'll help, and I think if I can lead you to one thing, just kind of, don't quite get it tattooed, but just think about this, just think about the pause button. And do you know what, I would love to find out if this works. Who am I on Twitter? I'm at
Paul Chapman.
That's slightly awkward. Honestly, I would love to find out if this is true, if it's a helpful thing. It's something I've done in the last couple of weeks, and it has markedly changed what I feel. Now, I'm not the person that's going online and kind of writing all this sort of stuff, but actually, both in terms of me reacting kind of bad stuff and me kind of wanting to jump on things, I kind of see something. I don't get on Facebook very much these days, but I see stuff on Facebook, and like the old Paul going, right, and now I'm just like, yeah. It just doesn't matter, and I think, for me, I've seen this change. I worry that we can't get there because not enough people will care about it. But then again, I guess that's like anything. It only takes one person to the next one, the next person. But I genuinely think if we could preserve the art, maybe it's an art, of just stopping for a couple of seconds, I think we can make some changes that actually, I can then hand to my kids and say, do you know what? I did my bit. I did what I could. Thanks very much.
Well done, mate.